So good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everybody. How are you? You can let me know on the chat. How has your week been? Last week was such an amazing session, and we were discussing ADHD, and especially in reference to the workplaces. And I know people were really excited about that. And of course, the week before that, we've just been having very, very amazing conversation, and we're still continuing to have those at right here every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. My name is Grace Nzula. I'm the host of Get It Right with Atara Solutions. You are tuned in to Get It Right with Atara Solutions, and I am a HR consultant and trainer with Atara Solutions. Atara Solutions is a HR consulting and training company. We offer services like job evaluations, salary surveys, recruitment, recruitment or talent sourcing. We also offer what we call, or we support you in updating your policies and just coordinating the restructuring, among other services. We also offer what we call HR manager outsourced. For all organizations that don't require full-time HR, we will be able to support you on that. We also are in learning and development. For all your training needs, please reach out to us. We offer coaching, we offer mentorship. We also offer team building. And we are also into events, and that is learning events. And speaking of events, we are going down to Meru on the 5th of June, Tarehe Tano Juni. Gosh, I should have asked Herbert to let me know what 5th of June, how to say 5th of June in Luganda. However, on the 5th of June, we are going down to Meru at Slopes Hotel, where we shall be having an amazing evening of learning from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock at only 2,300. And we're expecting to learn about labor laws, the emerging issues in labor laws, and also what are the emerging areas of tax, so that we can also support our organizations on matters taxation. So on 5th of June, we shall be down at Slopes Hotel. Please do join us for an amazing time of learning, networking, and definitely fun. And of course, this session today, I was about to say my co-host, then I remembered he's the speaker. So I'm gonna allow you a minute and yes, we do this every Tuesday from 8 o'clock, and we are in the business, or what Get It Right is about, is for demystifying issues in employment and entrepreneurship. And I'm very, very excited to be here tonight, and I'm looking forward to an engaging session, and of course, being impactful. So I've talked about you joining us in Meru, but allow me to also recognize our partners. We have Steadfast Quality Solutions. Steadfast Quality Solutions is a HR and PR company based in Kampala, Uganda. It is headed by my very, very good friend, Herbert Zake. Herbert Zake is a Gallup's Strengths Certified Coach. He has coached over 500 professionals. And if you're looking for a coach, you really need to hit up Herbert Zake. You can get in touch with us. If you're looking for board trainings, if you're looking for board evaluation, if you're looking to recruit board members, then Herbert Zake is the right person. And of course, we are in partnership with K2HR Services located down in Rwanda. If you're looking for support in Rwanda, HR outsourcing, HR recruitment, HR training services, then K2 HR services are located in Rwanda, and they will be able to join you on that. So at this point in time, I am very excited. Normally Richard is on the other side, and he's always introducing himself as the guy who supports people in public speaking, and he also does what we call interview coaching, and a lot of people know him as Mr. Positive Flavors. He has amazing energy and very positive at that, and one of those guys who are my good friends, and we are hustling together in these streets. So allow me to invite Richard to tell us, how do we build confidence when on matters public speaking? Richard, take it away.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? How have you had your day? Tell us how you're doing. It is part of communication. It is part of speaking to the public. How have you had your day? Was it good? Was it bad? Tell us using your emojis or any sticker that you think represents. Don't lie. If your day was boring, just say. If your day was a cheerful one, say. How was it? Somebody has said that it was good. Somebody has said that it was good. It was good. That is very, very good feedback. Very many people are saying that they were busy, busy. Liz Omolo has said that day was fantastic. Ekra has said the day was great. Gloria has said the evening she's looking forward to learning. My good friend Miriam Gikonyo has said that the day was good. Momo James, very good, very good. It's always good to have a good day so that you enjoy this life. And one of the things that you can do in this life so that you can enjoy it is to learn certain skills, certain competencies that will do what Grace normally tells people to expand your luck. And one of the things that can expand your luck is your ability to communicate very, very well. And public speaking, which is the topic we are having tonight, is a branch or a subset of the larger Amazon forest of communication. Before we dive into communication, Grace has done a wonderful job introducing me, and I'm not going to belabor that point. What is communication? And this is going to be a very interactive discussion. What is communication? From your end, you can continue writing what you think is communication, what your professor told you about communication, what your lecturer told you about communication. We'll read them at some point. Communication, we are told, is the transfer of meaning, not talking. Most people assume that when you're talking is when you are communicating. Communicating is the transfer of meaning from one person to the other, expecting some feedback. And communication has certain fundamentals, what we call certain fundamentals in communication. And what are these fundamentals? Ladies and gentlemen, that is a question. You can continue contributing. You can continue participating. The sender. One of the fundamentals of communication is the sender, the person who decides to initiate a conversation or who decides to send meaning or who decides to send a message to somebody and they are expecting some feedback. What is the second fundamental of because if you don't understand from the word go what is communication, you will not get what is public speaking and how to gain confidence. You have to know the nuts and bolts of communication. So we have established that communication, one, is a process of sending meaning, but it has certain building blocks. And one of the building blocks is the sender. The sender decides to send a message to the receiver. Then what is the other fundamental of communication? The other fundamental of communication is the message that you are crafting together so that you can get the correct feedback that you want from the receiver of your message. You have to consider this. These are very important. There's no way out you can forgo one building block and you become successful in communication. So we have said that communication is the transfer of meaning, not talking. If you are talking too much and you're thinking you're communicating, or writing too much and you're thinking you're communicating, you're not communicating. It is the transfer of meaning so that you can get certain outcomes. So we have said it is one, the sender of the message. Then there is the message this person wants to send so that they can get feedback. And we are told feedback is the food for champions. Then the third thing is to choose the right channel of communication. What is the right channel of communication? This is the infrastructure. This is the thing. This is the container. This is the medium that you're using so that that person who is receiving your communication or meaning is able to get. You have to decide whether you're going to use WhatsApp. You have to decide whether you're going to use Telegram. You have to decide whether you're going to use Instagram. You have to decide which infrastructure, and we call it channel of communication. Because if you choose an inappropriate channel of communication, it will mean that it will interfere with your communication. What is the other component, or rather what's the other fundamental of communication? The other fundamental of communication is dealing with the receiver. You have to analyze the receiver of my message is of this caliber. They have got this characteristic. They have got this education. They have got this experience. This is a customer, for example. This is a professional, for example. This is a colleague. This is a Gen Z. This is a millennial. You have to consider that when you're sitting down to craft that message to the receiver. You have to analyze the receiver very, very well for that communication to be effective. If you don't think about the receiver of your communication or your message, it is going to create what Grace, because you know Grace, she's a communication expert, called noise in quotes. Noise. There is something called noise in communication. These are the things that roadblock. These are the things that will interfere with your communication. It doesn't matter whether you choose the most beautiful kind of message, the best channel, but if you elect or you decide to ignore the role of noise in communication, your communication will fall flat. And some of the types of noises are which ones? Let us contribute. Let us contribute. What are some of the noises that will interfere with our communication? We can contribute. Grace, you can read a few. You can sample a few. This is what really interferes with communication.
I was speaking to myself.
Sorry.
Yeah, there's emotions, there's stereotypes, culture, and Mary says environment. Karo Musyoki is the one who talked about stereotypes and culture. Florence Mwangi talks about emotions. Caroline Musyoki, again, okay, that's a different one. Mary Muraya talks about language barrier. Caro, again, age gap. This one is a lot. Millennials and the Gen Zs, no. Yeah, Judy Kimpri talks about attitude.
So as
yeah, you can keep that coming.
As a communicator, you've got to ask what is the likeliest type of noise that will interfere with my message. If you do not attend to the noise in your communication, it doesn't matter how beautiful your message is, it is going to get interfered, and your communication is not going to receive the effective, or it's not going to receive the results that you want. Now that we have understood, and there's another thing which is important in communication: active listening. Active listening is important also in communication. We have to listen. That's why I said from the word go, communication is the transfer, meaning not necessarily talking alone. So if you're talking a lot and you're thinking that you're communicating to your people, then you need to ask yourself, am I a good listener? Good listening skills are important in communication. Lastly, because there are so many fundamentals in communication, is, what do you think? Clarity. Clarity. You have to be very clear. You have to remove any ambiguity in your communication so that the person who is receiving your message does not misunderstand, does not misinterpret, does not misrepresent. So you have got to be very clear. I do not know what is white, but people say that cotton is white. What else? I think eyes. I do not know what else is white, but your communication has to be very, very clear so that there are no many interpretations of your communication. So if you realize that you're sending messages and people are getting so many meanings out of what you're communicating, it means, therefore, you are not communicating at all. It's a waste of time. Now that we have understood that public speaking is one of the subsets of communication, let us move into origins of fear. Why do we fear commanding that room? The technical term for the fear of public speaking is glossophobia, the fear of public speaking. This brings that joke to light that some people could rather be in a coffin rather than talking to people. Why do people fear public speaking? We can have contributions. Why do you think, from your personal experience, why do you think you are missing opportunities to speak? What are the reasons? Why do people fear? Why do you fear presentations? Why do you fear standing in front of people and passing on your message? Past experiences, voice trembling, fear of being misunderstood by Chumba, Liz, lack of confidence, charge, you getting audited, you're being assessed. Very good, very good. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to command that room that you are in, whether it is a meeting, whether it's a presentation, whether it's a seminar, whether you are training, you need to ask yourself, why am I afraid? And our brain functions on the principle of fight or flight. Fight means you have the key competencies that will assist you make a better presentation. You have the content, you have the right attitude to talk to people. So that is what fight means, that you can be able to speak confidently. Then there is flight. Flight is what in communication or in public speaking specifically. This is where now you sweat, you tremble, you procrastinate, you shrub, what else do we do when we are afraid of public speaking? What else do we do? Lack of preparation, yes. What else do we do when we are fearful or when we are on flight mode? Because if you don't understand this concept of fight or flight, therefore you are going to have a huge problem in your public speaking engagement. Shaky voice, that is rude. You shake, people will hear your voice. Voice lows. Somebody has said we lose. What else? Somebody, brain freeze, trembling, trail of thought gets lost as you move along. And the fear, you know, it is a psychological thing. And one of the things that protects you, either for this, is this a threat? Is this something that I can be able to manage? And if you cannot be able to manage the amygdala or the responses, the amygdala in your brain, then you will have a situation whereby you're not going to perform very, very well. So if you want to become a good public speaker, you must ask yourself, what will be the stumbling block towards me becoming a public speaker? Is it past experience that will make me not to speak? Is it because I lack preparation? Is it because I do not have content? So you need to list down the reasons that will make you be afraid. Why are you procrastinating? Why have you never gone on stage? Those are you afraid that people will audit how you are dressed? Because the other thing that is important in public speaking, you must always look fantastic. Have you ever seen how Grace walks to stage with her mic? That is important. It commands the stage. That is important. So, ladies and gentlemen, you must ask yourself why you are afraid to go on stage. Is it because you are afraid of being audited? That is the main thing. But you need to also ask yourself, once you have discovered why you are afraid, how else can you write a new software? Because the shyness, the fear, the procrastination, the refusal to go and gain that opportunity. Are we together? Are we moving together? So you have to understand the role of fear, because it's as a biological thing and also psychological. You need to understand what is the source and how else you can overwrite that program of fear. Once you have understood fear, the source, and how to overcome the fear, then you need to go to another place, which I call self-mastery. If you want to command, what is commanding? Commanding is authority, owning, making that stage yours, taking that mic with a lot of confidence and courage. But you cannot be able to do it if you lack self-mastery. And this is one of the building blocks of emotional intelligence, self-awareness. You have to know yourself. Now, when we come to self-mastery, I will ask you, tell me the traits that you notice amongst your role model speakers. What are the traits that you notice? We can contribute, we can write. What are some of the traits that you see with great public? Eloquence and confidence. That is Florence Mwangi. Very confident. Tone of variation. Ruth has said confidence. Knowledge. Sense of stage command. Proper use of words. Good understanding of the topic. Then ask yourself, what traits do great public speakers or orators have that I can be able to learn from? That is a question I want you to ask. What are the traits that I can be able to learn from somebody else who is doing very well in public speaking, in presentation? When you make observations, what are the traits? What do you see them do? But as you write those traits, as you write those characteristics, as you write those markers, you need to understand yourself. You need to understand what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your weaknesses? So that you can be able to use your weaknesses and also improve on your weakness. What did I say? You use your strength and also learn how to overcome your weaknesses. I mentioned earlier that presence and authority is important when you want to own the room. When you enter into the room, how are you walking? How are you dressed? In split seconds, people were created to audit you, whether you like it or you don't. And the secret there is fear, but do it anyway. What is your posture like? Because we are told by communication experts that 55 to 60% of your communication comes from your body language. People can be able to see your confidence, how you are moving, how you're holding the mic, how you become silent. There's something we call posing or a power pose. You have to project that presence. So how do you create presence? We create presence of how we walk, our body language, how we are dressed, how we are using the 7 universal emotions to communicate to the audience, because you have got to connect to the audience. That is important. So if you want to become a very, very good speaker, you must do self-mastery. And there are so many tests on the internet that you can ask, and they'll guide you on how to discover your competencies, on how to discover your weaknesses. The other thing that will give you that command of the stage, if you want to command the stage and get paid, remember what we are doing here. We are saying you have to monetize. You have to get paid. You have got to create impact out of your speaking. Once you open your mouth like this, like Grace, there is a check that heads to the bank, right? So the other thing that can give you confidence, ladies and gentlemen, is structure. When we were writing compositions in high school, in secondary schools, our language teachers gave us a clue on how we should write compositions. Where did we get structure from? I want a contribution. How did your teacher tell you you should have structure in your compositions? Contributions, we can contribute, As we wait for your contributions, introduction, you have to introduce yourself, you have to introduce the topic, then you have to decide how many points you are going to talk about. You cannot talk about the entire Amazon forest. You have got to decide, I am going to speak about 5 points. It doesn't matter how beautiful the next point becomes, you will only decide to talk about either 4 points or 2 points, whichever points you decided to talk about, so that you are not confused. Remember, if you confuse your audience, it means that then you have not communicated. You should have structure. Structure will always give us confidence. Have a structure. As you develop your content, decide how you are going to move from one point to the other. It also assists you to reduce overloading, because there is something we call cognitive overload. You have so many points that will overload the system of your listeners and they'll get confused. Remember, in learning and development, we say we all don't learn at the same rate. We are different. We come from different schools. Some come from the group of schools. Some come from some encounter TV, for example, when they come to the city. What I'm saying is this: we are different. You must appreciate the role of diversity and inclusion. So it will assist, and I'm talking about the structure. Structure will give you confidence. What else do you need to do so that we say, indeed, you have commanded the stage? One of the things that I train people is what is called delivery mechanics. Who can be able to tell us what is delivery mechanics? What do you think when I say delivery mechanics? What does it mean? Delivery mechanics, the system of delivery. We can contribute. What do you think it could be? Engage the audience, Florence Mwangi. I'm waiting for contributions. Hii lazima tufanye arambe. We have different delivery, use of analogies, that is Miriam Gikonyo. What else? What do you think is a delivery mechanism?
There's somebody who's talking about storytelling.
Storytelling, that is Jedi. Who else? Simpler and clear. And I want to give you the analogy that Miriam has mentioned. Imagine when you have cooked very nice food, you have cooked the most delicious food, and then you use a very dirty plate, a very unpleasant plate to deliver the food. You have come up with the content that you're going to speak. You have the knowledge. You have prepared. You have rehearsed. You have understood what is communication. Then you have a bad voice. Then your tone does not align with your content. So the delivery is the vehicle of your content, is the vehicle of your rehearsal, it is then the container, and the container is the thing that will make your listeners appreciate what you are delivering. So ask yourself, how does my voice sound? Is it pleasant? Is it unhappy? Is it cheerful? And remember, initially I mentioned there are 7 universal emotions. So your voice has to carry the meaning. If you are happy, you have to carry a happy what? A happy tone, for example, a happy rhythm, cadence, Cadence is the musicality of your words, how musical you are. So delivery, ladies and gentlemen, is what will make your presentation more captivating. It is not the beautiful content. Beautiful content alone cannot be responsible for creating attention. So what do you use your voice? What do I get your voice to mean? Remember, we said communication is the transfer of what? Of meaning. What is your voice saying? When you're speaking to 2 people, how should you speak? When you're speaking to 5 people, how are you raising your voice in order to accommodate the number of people you are talking to? Tone is important. Tone can carry meaning. So ask yourself, does the tone of my voice reflect the message that I want to pass across? The other thing is pacing. What is pacing? Who can tell me what is pacing by writing? As you write, pacing is the distance between one word and the other. You can imagine if I introduce myself, my name is Richard Magoma. What does it tell you? If I say, my name is Richard Magoma, what does it tell you? Either I am afraid, I want to get out of stage, and it means, therefore, I'm not commanding the stage. Pace your words. My name is Richard Magoma. Give space, maybe 2 microseconds or 3 microseconds, so that people are able to distinguish one word from the other. So pace. What is pausing? What is pausing? It's another tool that you can use in delivery that will make your message more captivating. What is pausing? Somebody can write, what is pausing? And remember, these tools, it is a break. And I love the way Florence is enthusiastic in contributing. It is the stopping you do so that it shows that you have authority. You are not afraid being there. It is also a tool of emphasis. Stopping for a while. Christine, I love that. It is stopping for a while. Don't be not on. Remember, our topic is command the stage. Have authority over the stage. You have the greatest content. You have prepared. You understand communication. You understand yourself by self-awareness tests that you can do using the internet. You understand your weaknesses. You understand your strengths and how you can use them. When you use these tools, your volume, your tone, your rhythm, it makes your message more enchanting. It makes you, remember, human beings have very short attention spans, and it is in delivery that you will be able to manage your connection. So go and ask your search engine, what are some of the delivery methods that I can use in order to captivate the audience? And I can see some people saying about storytelling. Storytelling is very important to a human being. You must be a very good storyteller. That is why we love YouTube. That is why we love Instagram. That is why we love gossip. That's where we have love, not, what are those storybooks. Human beings love storytelling. And our grandmothers and grandfathers have always used storytelling in order to do what? To captivate the audience. And if you want to command the stage and get paid for it. You know, you can make public speaking a career and get paid. Learn storytelling. Learn the art and the practice of storytelling. So delivery mechanics, we have mentioned it is how you use your volume, how you use your pitch, how you use your posing, how you use your pacing, how you use your I saw somebody mentioning eye contact. We say that the eye is the window to the soul. If you want to understand somebody, look into their eyes. Eye contact. How are you using your eyes to connect with the audience? The other thing that you need to do so that you can be able to maintain that command or authority over the audience or the stage is what I train, and I call it audience connection, audience management. But I like, or I love, audience connection. You have to connect with your audience or else you will not succeed. Remember, we started with the fundamentals of communication, and we said the receiver is one of the fundamentals of communication. You have to ask yourself several questions. Who is my audience? So in public speaking, you have to ask yourself, how do I connect with the audience so that they get captivated, so that they can be able to learn, so that they can be able to internalize the message that I'm passing on? So how do we maintain connection? How do we rule the audience? There is one method that we normally use of engage the audience. Which one is this? Let me see. Florence, let me see if you're going to win again. What is one of the most don't go Q&A. It is questions you ask your audience. You want to involve. You do not want your audience to be inattentive. Ask them questions. Make sure you are involving the audience. You can call somebody Jane, you can call somebody Miriam, you can call somebody Liz. Tell me, make them contribute. You're not lecturing. When you lecture, then chances of you losing the audience are very high in public speaking. Remember, we have defined communication as the transfer of meaning. How else will you know that you are transferring meaning if you are not connected or if you are not engaging the audience? Even lecturers ask questions to see if the students are following. So as a public speaker, one of the tools of engagement or connection is asking questions. What is the other one? How do we connect with the audience? Group work. Thank you very much. Group work. Group work. You can divide people into groups. If it is a webinar, make breakaway rooms. If it is a seminar or a conference, divide people into groups, make a chairman, make a secretary, then they will contribute towards something. Make sure people are active. The thing here, you are avoiding people not to do what? To lose focus, because people have got very short attention span. When we were at Safari Park, Grace made us dance, make us answer questions. She was making sure that we don't sleep, because that is what human, or we don't go to our phones. Making sure that, yes, short assignments. That is how to connect with the audience. That is the only way we can know that X, Y, and Z are what? Are connected to the message. So audience engagement is one of those things that you can do to make sure that the audience is rapt, the audience is captivated, the audience is involved. The last bit that I am going to contribute, because time is moving pretty fast, is room dynamics. What could be the meaning of room dynamics? Yes, song and dance. Magna, you have said is song and dance. Make them dance. Make them do certain games so that they don't lose focus. So you have got to have so many icebreakers. If you want to be a successful MC, for example, like me, have so many icebreakers. Role playing, like what Jane has said. Let them. You are managing. That is a mind goal. That is something that you are supposed to manage and command. You are the one in charge of the energies of that room. So what does room dynamics mean? Room arrangement, room setup, how you approach communication while meeting before the board. I don't know if that is a question. Meeting with their expectation. What is the meaning of room dynamics? Room atmosphere. As a public speaker, there are so many parts that are moving. You are speaking, you are holding the mic, you are checking the mood of the audience. You have to check everything. There are so many things that are moving. You may think standing in front of people as an MC is an easy. It is an energy consuming thing. You are doing so many things at the same time. You are thinking on your feet. So you have got to assess the audience and see, are they really following what I'm saying? And if they are not following, what can I do? And that is where now the issue of connection, the issue of engagement, the issue of plays, the issue of singing, the issue of answering questions comes in, or role playing for that matter, or icebreakers. For those people who did drama in high school, you remember the adjudicators used to tell us that your team did very well because your actors were moving from one part of the room to the center of the room to the other part of the room. As a public speaker, make sure you are moving from one part of the stage, that is the left, then the center, to the right. That is how to command. Make sure you can even get into the audience, mix with your audience. The reason is you are connecting with your audience. Make sure room presence has Norbert or has said. Room presence, that is what is called commanding the room. You have to interact. Make sure you use, why do you think conference or event managers make sure that people who attend conferences or seminars have name tags? And let me tell you something which is important in this world. The most important sound, ladies and gentlemen, in this world. What is the most, let me ask you, what is the most important sound in this world? All sounds, when all sounds are assessed, what is the most beautiful sound in the world? Nobody said my voice. That is the mention of somebody's name. In mentioning Richard, mentioning Grace, mentioning Florence, mentioning Miriam, you are giving respect to that person. Make sure you use those names that have been put on the tags. Ask them questions, involve them. In fact, if those names have not been given, make sure you go early to the room where you're going to present and know a few people so that you can be using them as probes. Ladies and gentlemen, public speaking can be your gateway to greatness. Look at PLO. Look at, I don't want, let me not mention a politician because somebody might say, oh, Richard has been given money to mention that politician. Let me mention a non-politician. PLO, do you know where he goes because of his public speaking? Do you know how much money he gets? Grace. Your voice can become your kiosk. No, I just wanted to move for effect. Your voice can become a kiosk.
It is.
Your voice can become a kiosk, can become a supermarket, but you have to invest in the services of a coach or a mentor. You have got to watch so many videos of greatest public speakers. You have got to watch like TED. Is it TED? I know Grace might correct me how to pronounce it. Watch those so many speakers who speak very well, so
TED
that you
Talks,
can, yes, so that
Obama.
you can, yes, Obama. Do you know the speech that made Obama? Do you know the famous speech in the whole world? I have a dream. Yes, we can. If you can be able to master your words, my, oh my, the gates that will be opened for you. The luck, if you know how to, not just speaking, if you can be able to speak very well, the opportunities that you will open are countless. Of course, in Africa, we take public speaking lightly, but for those people who have learned the role of public speaking, they have invested in it, and they have gone places. It is a competitive advantage because, as I told you from the word go, people fear public speaking. If people fear public speaking, why can't you become courageous in public speaking so that you can get paid? You can become a trainer, you can become a preacher, you can become a lecturer, you can become a politician, but you have to speak with impact, you have to speak courageously, you have to speak with impact, you have to speak transformationally. You have to change people's life. And actually, the role of public speaking is to change people's lives. If you didn't know, it is to change people's lives. If you want to change people's lives, learn the art of public speaking. And if you want to be remembered forever, become very eloquent. Your oratory skills can bring you money. In fact, idle income, it doesn't matter whether you are doing in life, whether you are an accountant, whether you are a marketer, it is something that can bring you income. Sometimes in this economy where people are saying there is a cash flow problem, you can be called, hey, Grace, there's an event here, come and MC for me. Oh, Grace, come and speak, come. It will bring money to you, but you have to invest in it by effort, by money, and become better. It is a skill like any other skill that we learn, only that it is neglected. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get connected to people, learn how to speak well and speak consistently. Brand yourself, because it is not because you are able to speak, but it's because of your brand. And it is good speaking that will create a brand. You are a brand, but what kind of brand are you? Don't always be the consumer of information. Be the producer also of information. So from this particular discussion, let all of us become trainers. Let us all of us start speaking so that we can get that money that is lying around idle. But shine in those meetings. Don't be timid. Don't be fearful. Thank you so much. I am quite delighted to have been part of this discussion.
Thank you, Richard. That was wonderful. I cannot believe that we are already almost 9 o'clock. So really, you have totally engaged us. And I like the emojis. You can keep the emojis coming. You can appreciate Richard by, let me become Richard today, clapping and celebratory emojis, your love hearts, your everything to Richard for that wonderful, wonderful conversation on how to build your confidence. And Richard, some people say that they think in English and they had thought in English. But then when they start speaking, their mother tongue slips in, just sneaks in like that from nowhere. So I am sure you have experienced that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any question, you can ask. You can put them on the chat. But Richard, let me ask you. This will sound it's a very simple question. When we talk about speaking, how many people should we speaking to? Because I have seen people get stage fright even when they come for interviews, and this is on a one-on-one session.
Come again, sorry.
Who is the right audience, or rather, when you call it public speaking, who does it apply to? Because I have seen people get shaken when it comes to a one-on-one interview session. So what makes it public speaking?
When you're speaking to, remember, public speaking, it is very structured, it's very intentional. It is very structured, it's very intentional. If you are speaking to Grace with the intention of getting certain outcomes from her, you are using public speaking skills. One of the reasons why people fail in interviews is not because they are not intelligent or competent. It is because they have not learned the art of speaking to the other person. To me, if I'm speaking to Grace as one person, if I'm speaking to two people as two people, that is public speaking agent. What is public? What does public mean? It means many people, but you're speaking to people and you want them to respond in a particular way. You are communicating to somebody so that you get certain responses from them. So if even in interviews, you're selling your competences, you're selling your experiences, you are engaged in a public speaking exercise. So if you want to speak without shaking to the interviewers, you must become a very good public speaker. I know very competent people who have lost opportunities during interviews. Why? Because they lack the skill of public speaking.
That's true. That's true. So we need to really practice being in front of the audience. Allow me to read a few questions and comments on the chat. Norbert says, Grace, you are on NTV and you had a commanding presence. Thank you very much. And you have not watched, if you have not watched that clip, you need to do that. Which program? I want to search her. Oh, somebody's asking. Okay, I was on Your World on NTV yesterday at 11. I think there is a live audience. But if you go to my page, we did a summary of what we were having a conversation on. Norbert says, I had to rush here to listen to this because I love everything public speaking. Thank you very much. In a situation, Cynthia Ward is saying, in a situation, your mind think faster than your mouth. How can someone deal with this?
That is a very good question. One of the things that will make you a confident presenter, even when you're presenting to the board, is preparation and rehearsal. And there's something I said during this conversation that when you have content, when you have researched, when you have those facts, when you have those statistics, practice them before you go to the board, for example, before you go to the interview. For example, if I am called to give a talk, what do? I research on the topic. But before I go for that training or before I go to make that presentation, I'll do what is called make believe. I'll assume there is an audience in front of me. And I will run through my content. And do you know what the brain does? The more you repeat, the more consistent you repeat, the brain takes a photograph, for lack of an accurate word. It remembers what you have done. What do great sportsmen do? They go to the field in the morning, they go to the field in the afternoon, so that their muscles get used to what? To running. There's no way out you can become a superstar by just going to the field that single moment. It is something they do consistently, even when they do not have motivation, when only discipline can suffice. So when you're preparing for a board meeting, prepare those notes, prepare that report, but go through the report and imagine that you are presenting to the report. And remember what learning and development experts tell us, that repetition is a source of learning. So you can imagine if you repeated the content several times, it will stick with you. In fact, word for word, I have even discovered myself giving a whole passage that I had practiced because of what? Because I had practiced it. You can remember everything, almost everything, if you practiced. So, fight or flight. If you build your competence, if you expose yourself to stage moments, if you have good content and you continuously practice, the issue of your mouth becoming very fast, then the content will reduce. And the other thing that you need to do, don't do it alone. Have a coach, have a mentor who will tell you, here you did well, here you did, you need to improve. Record. There's something we call record and audit. Record and audit. So every time you are going to make a presentation, record yourself and then see which areas of improvement. Just like we learn shyness, that is how we will learn how to speak well in public.
Right. Somebody's asking, who is Grace? Can she kindly put on her video? You probably need to open your eyes to see who Grace is. Please share the clip. Okay, we'll do that. Lawrence is saying, what about those moments when you are randomly picked on to talk about something you're not familiar with and haven't researched either? And maybe I can also add this for the person who is talking about boards. We had shared on how to do board-worthy reports on this platform. You can check out our YouTube channel. So that you can get to know that. So Richard, how do you talk about something you're not familiar with? And it's like, in Toastmasters, they call it what? Impromptu speech.
Now, Grace, from a legal quote, it is said, ignorance has no defense.
And
oh yes,
stable topics. Sorry. Go ahead.
Ignorance has no defense. The other thing we say, knowledge is power. Right now, people on this call know that for you to become powerful, you have to have the knowledge. And not only should you have the knowledge, you should apply it. Most of you are here. I'm sure you've gained something. And you are going to use it. Now, how do you confront impromptu? In actual fact, there is no impromptu speech. In fact, I should have dealt with types of speeches, and one of the type of speech is impromptu. One of the things as an intelligent person you need to do is to get prepared that the moment for you to be chosen to speak at a particular point in time will arise. And there is no doubt you are going to miss that opportunity for you to shine. Always make sure that you are prepared. And that is why continuous reading, attending webinars like this one is important, so that you can get insights, so that you can get perspectives on certain things, so that when the moment for you to speak in an impromptu moment, you do not pass that opportunity. You do not delegate that opportunity. Always get prepared. You know the role of a coach in your life. You know the role of a mentor in your life. You know the role of webinars in your life. You know the role of conferences in your life. If you claim not to have been prepared, it means then you are not reading, and that diminishes your brand and power. It means that you cannot offer insights when the moment comes. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is why we should always come here to demystify some of these important concepts about life. Don't miss an opportunity because you are not prepared. Always prepare. Have a book that you are reading. One day you will be asked about a book that you are reading and you are going to explain. And that is the time people in your village will decide, nobody should become our MP because of the knowledge, the sheer abundance of knowledge you have. So exploit those opportunities. I always tell people that I train, if you cannot create an opportunity, ask for it. When you see Grace has a seminar or has a conference, why can't you go and ask her, Grace, can I be the person who is registering the names, so that you can learn some things that will trigger some interest in you? So, ladies and gentlemen, ignorance has no defense. If you are given an opportunity to speak and then you pass it on, who has lost the opportunity? And imagine if you lose so many opportunities in a sequence, you will regret. Always create an opportunity to speak or ask for opportunity to speak.
Yeah. And
There is no
probably
another way. There is no another way. Okay, all right.
yes, Richard, but I probably can answer, especially if it's a technical thing that you have been asked to speak about, and you definitely had no time to prepare, or you're not very sure about what to say. It is okay to probably make fun of the situation, or just ask for time to review and then revert back with the right details, especially when it's technical. But when you get used to also learning, when you continue investing in yourself, you will always find yourself ready to speak. Personally, there are things I don't prepare for, like when there are things I don't prepare for because it's not really a big deal. But that hasn't come from nowhere. It has come from being uh, being what proactive in learning and just being present. Now, there's another question that I had seen, maybe which can be the last past one. Jemutai is saying, I am not a storyteller. Where do I begin?
The first thing that I wish we had several hours. There is something we call reframing. Reframing is where you start changing how you use words. Words are very powerful. How you use your words is very powerful. When you begin to say you are not a good storyteller, already you have built a prison. Perhaps the way to reframe that is, how do I become a good storyteller? Telling a good story is a skill that you can learn. There is no magic about it. You have to, and actually, if you go to Facebook, I've seen so many people on Facebook who train people on storytelling. Some of them are on Instagram. I also assist people in how to tell stories, because storytelling is a very important thing in life. The only recourse you have is to learn how to tell a story. Just like you don't automatically become a good rider, you have to practice riding the motorbike. Yes, it is a difficult skill, but you can learn that skill just like you learn driving. The long and short of it is, if you want to become a good storyteller, purpose to do what it requires you to become a good storyteller. Have a person who can coach you storytelling, or you can watch so many videos, and there are so many YouTube channels that train you on how to tell a good story. Why do you think we were taught how to write compositions? to tell a good story. That is a gift that we were given that we can use for the rest of our lives and shine about it. So the thing is, look for a coach, look for a mentor. If you can't find those, use YouTube, Facebook, and other search engines so that they can give you the fundamentals of good storytelling. You can become a good storyteller by just learning, like any other form of learning. There is no magic. You can't have magic and become a good storyteller. You have to put your foot down and become disciplined and become motivated that I want to become a good storyteller, and what do I need to do? And the good thing is we are living in a very good age where we have search engines, where we have artificial intelligence. If you can't pay anybody, ChatGPT is there. We have Claude, we have Gemini, we have Google. You can ask questions, but even if you ask those questions, it is good to have somebody who can guide you to become a good storyteller. You can. I can tell you for free. There are people who call themselves introverted, and once they are trained, they become very good speakers. In fact, they become very good because they are quite disciplined when it comes to method and sequence and whatnot and progression. It doesn't mean you change your personality, but it means you gain certain skills that can assist you in overcoming that challenge you have.
Thank you, Richard. Okay. Being shy to talk to public. Wow. But there's somebody who, Renee has an interesting question. Have you read all those books behind you? For instance, yeah. But maybe you can finalize, maybe summarize because of time. How do you overcome fear of public speaking? I think that has been the entire session, Beatrice. Being shy, okay, maybe you can give a better answer in summary.
The answer I did not give, or the answer, the method I did not give is exposure. If you want to overcome fear of public speaking, expose yourself to moments where you are required to speak. If it is praying, ask to pray. If it is a baby shower, become an official who is going to give a speech. Do you know what your brain does when you push yourself? Remember what I told you about fight and flight? If you are prepared, that is a fight mode. If you have not prepared yourself, that becomes a flight mode. So look for opportunities for you to speak. Your brain will get used to it. How do we overcome the fear of snakes? There is a progression of overcoming the fear of snakes. Or if you want to stop fearing somebody, there is a psychological progression that you have to undergo in order you can overcome the fear of somebody. So 1 hour is not enough, though, for us to finish all the secrets of confident and courageous public speaking. On books, I can tell you, no, you can never finish books that you have, because when you go to buy, you buy 5. So you're continuously adding books. You decide to buy a book, one book, then you go to the bookshop, then you decide that I'm going to buy 5. Can you really finish? Not all. You can't finish. So the library continuously multiplies.
All right. Can we have a continuation of the session? Well. Yes, of course. Is there a presentation of a recording? No. No presentation. Recording, yes. Our YouTube channel has been put there on the chat. You can always catch up. It's Get It Right to the Tara Solutions, and the link has been shared by Paul. And thank you very much, Richard. Before we come to you with a parting shot, remember to join us down in Meru on the 5th of June at 4 o'clock. That is on a Friday, 5th of June. We shall be at Slopes Hotel. and we're going to be having conversations around labor laws and taxation for your knowledge, and of course having fun and networking, expanding our surface area of luck. That is our mission with that. So Richard, you can give us your parting shot.
Speaking well is a resource. You can get paid, you can impact life, you can transform life, but you have got to invest in it intentionally, deliberately. The doors that will open when you know how to speak charismatically, with energy, with enthusiasm, you will see. Because it's part of communication. You will have mali inatoka kwa watu. For those people who come from Uganda and Rwanda, money, wealth comes from people. And what good way of getting wealth than speaking appropriately? But there is no magic about speaking well. You have to get trained. You must sweat. You must roll up your sleeves in order to speak well.
All right. Thank you very much, Richard, and thank you. If you're new here and you want to join our WhatsApp group where we share what's coming up, please do that. Atiwa is Richie not saying he's a trainer in this topic. If you want to learn about public speaking, you can get in touch with Richard. Maybe Richard, you can also share your contact details on the chat. In case there's somebody who needs support and probably more sessions on this, that would be amazing. And of course, to you, our audience, thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate your time. Please do not forget to join us in Meru on the 5th of June from 4 o'clock at Slopes Hotel. Join our WhatsApp group, get Atara Solutions, where we will always share the flyers. And of course, next week in celebration of Mother's Day is on Sunday. Next week, we are going to be discussing a very, 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 very important topic on effects of motherhood. That is what we are going to be discussing next week. But for now, and that is for both men and women, you really need to know how to support your sisters, your wives, your brothers, your everyone else who is a new mom or an ongoing mom. Some of these challenges happen to us 15 years later, 30 years later, is when you discover that you had something to do with your pelvic bones and all these things. So that's the conversation we're going to be having next Tuesday as we continue with this conversation of Get It Right with Atara Solutions. Thank you so much. Please follow us on Instagram, Atara Solutions, like our Facebook page, Atara Solutions, connect with us on LinkedIn at Atara Solutions, and subscribe and leave a comment on our YouTube channel, Get It Right with Atara Solutions, and invite us to speak in your organizations, give us HR work, HR consultancy, and HR or other recruitment services, job evaluations. Allow us to come and help you with documentation, or when you're restructuring your organizations. If you are an organization that's looking for a HR manager that's not full-time, please refer them to us and we are going to be able to talk together. Thank you so much, guys, and have yourselves a lovely Tuesday. See you next Tuesday, same time, same place, and have a good night. Richard, blessings to you.
Thank you. Night. God bless you all. Thank you for creating time. God bless you.